I think the number one thing I could tell you is that you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. I know you feel alone, and I know you feel super isolated, but just know that you're not alone, and that I know how redundant this can sound.
Yeah.
But, like, your life truly matters, and you may think that there's nobody out there that cares for you, but I promise.
There is. There is. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
This is
It's been a long time coming. If you think that we sound amazing, it's because we do. And there's a reason why. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Radiate Podcast. And we are truly radiating on this fine, lovely day.
Yes.
And if you're wondering why we are so happy, Issa, tell them why.
Because Grace Ann's boyfriend, Vincent Lewis, figured out how to connect these two mics.
We are going to link all of his Instagrams down below.
Yes.
All of them. Because he is a godsend.
Honestly.
Mwah, chef's
Did
kiss.
we think this day would come?
We finally got both of our mics to work, and so hopefully they sound as amazing as we believe they do.
Yeah, how awkward if it
That
actually
would be so awkward.
Wait, how awkward if it actually messes up? And
You know, guys, just give us grace. It's what, episode 7?
yeah,
you
okay.
know,
And let's be real, it's been like 2 weeks.
We
kinda
literally,
figured that
okay.
out.
Also, I've noticed that when people like plan podcasts, they like launch them after like 3 weeks of planning.
Yeah.
We literally were just like, hey, let's do a podcast. And boom, baby, we started a podcast
Yeah.
with literally no plan. I think we're doing pretty good.
We're doing very good. I mean,
Found it.
Also, who cares?
Also, who cares?
Because
We're literally creating just to create. So
yeah, and that's what we love to do.
I'm so happy.
Honestly, I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. I really hope this sounds good.
I really hope so too.
Thank
And
you,
if
guys.
it doesn't, you know what? At least there's video. Let's
Yeah.
hope it works.
Okay.
But how have you been? How was your day actually? I want to know how your day was today.
My day has been, it's been another weird one, honestly.
Okay.
I feel like my anxiety has been like through the roof today. For some family reasons. By the time this airs, what's today?
It's Tuesday.
Okay. So by the time this airs on Thursday, my grandma will have gone under surgery. So I am praying that everything goes well. Grandma Doris, you're a bad bitch. I love you.
Grandma Doris. You are.
But yeah, just that, and then just some weird things happening back in like where I'm from.
Yeah.
Just someone's house that's literally like not even 5 minutes away from mine.
Yeah.
Blew up.
That's crazy.
And I am praying and sending good vibes to everyone that has been affected.
Yeah, definitely.
They're thinking that it was some type of like pipe or gas leak, and somehow miraculously no other houses were affected. But my mom told me that literally the chandelier in our living room shook. And she thought it was like that happened like right beside her.
That's so crazy.
But it was like a couple miles down the road.
That's so
So
crazy.
I'm praying that everyone that has been affected is gonna pull through. But it's just been a really weird day. Especially like I just feel like it's been like one bad thing after another, like finding out.
Yeah.
And so I mean, especially like with the news of, you know, the little boy.
Yeah, my mom owns a store in Houston, and one of her customers who has been going there since she like opened, her son was hit by a car while he was riding his bike. So it's just it's very hard because first of all he's a little kid, and also it's happened out of nowhere. And I was talking to my family this weekend, like, you never know what's gonna happen. Like, the fact that we made it to 22 is such a blessing, honestly. Like, life is so valuable, and it's sad to see, like, also like the best people lose like family, and it's really sad. But I just think, like, I told my mom because she was really upset, I was like, use him to like go through life and live every single day like it's your last, because you can't waste a day, because it's an injustice to people like him, you know, who had their life taken, you know, or that his life's going to change type of thing. So,
and what we're just, you know, trying to say is just
Yeah.
hug your family members, hug your friends
Yeah.
tight, and don't take anything for granted
No.
because life is so precious. And I just, like I said, I just think it's been like one bad thing after another.
Yeah.
And I'm just ready for some good. Like, I know life is all about like ups and downs,
Yeah.
but it's been rough, man. It's been rough.
It's been a crazy 2020.
So the audio working, it might not
Yeah.
seem like a big deal to you guys, but honestly, like,
It's a big deal to us.
it's a big deal to us.
It's a big deal to
It's a big
us.
deal to us.
I had a pretty good day, you know, kind of chill. I woke up, went to some classes.
Got to leave
talked
work
to
a little
some-
early.
Got to leave work a little early. I
That's
was like,
always a good
okay.
feeling.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah, it was just good to. It's just been a chill day, but
Mhm.
definitely a weird vibe, just because of, you know, stuff that's going on. But we just want everybody to be positive in situations like these and just like be grateful.
You got to try to find
The good stuff.
some sort of
Yeah.
silver lining.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that you can learn so much in every single situation that you go through.
Yeah.
So that's what I've
For
just
sure.
kind of been like telling myself, like, there's something to learn here, there's something to learn here.
Always.
And yeah, I'm just ready to see my family. So,
Yeah.
and give them a hug.
Which, considering 2020 has been the craziest year I've ever lived in.
Yeah.
Later in the episode, we're going to talk about mental health. And so I feel like this is kind of a good opening, just like what's coming later, because people's mental health has been like up and down as well, just
Yeah.
because.
And just ways to cope, you know?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like my anxiety has been like through the roof.
Yeah.
And I'm just. We all go
Yep.
through it, people. We all
Yep.
go through it.
But you know what?
Let's get to some hot topics.
Let's get to some hot topics.
Let's get to some hot topics.
One hot topic is kind of crazy. You heard about Ellen DeGeneres maybe a month or two ago. People were coming out saying that her staff had sexually assaulted, I
Mhm.
believe, and
Which that was very
I was
shocking.
surprised.
Yeah.
Because obviously Ellen is like, you know, Ellen. And then like after that happened, just people were like going in on Ellen because it's shocking. It's more, you know, Ellen tries to be like nice and be kind. And so when people like that get caught, even though she didn't abuse them, but it was under her watch, it is like 10 times worse, I feel.
Yeah, and I just I don't know how to feel about the entire situation, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, but
So
big
the hot
news dropped
topics
today.
is
Yeah.
that today, I believe, she revealed that the show will return because, you know, she was like, I don't want to even come back because I'm so embarrassed that this happened under my watch. But it's set to return this month, and she will address the workplace scandal on air. And then she also like revealed her guest list that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
She has some of them that are coming are Tiffany Haddish, Kerry Washington, Alec Baldwin, Chrissy Teigen, Chris Rock, Amy Schumer, Adam Sandler, and Orlando Bloom.
It's definitely a really, really good list.
It's like kind of a message that she's sending. Like,
yeah, I
or
mean,
they're sending.
also at the same time, like, she can't not address it.
No,
You
no.
know?
She has to.
God, and
It's
I mean, there was
hard.
also so much going on with, like, people who had worked with her were, like, telling stories about how awful she is and how
Yeah.
she's not what she portrays herself to be on camera, which was heartbreaking for me to see.
Yeah.
Because I love Ellen.
Oh, I
I've
love
always loved
Ellen.
Ellen. I think she's iconic for
Yeah.
so many reasons.
Yeah. And she's done so much good. Like,
Yeah,
she's
but
helped
it's like
a lot of
whenever you
families.
see stories like that, it's like, well, goddamn, like, what do I believe?
You never know.
You never know.
Because, like, the only thing that has me, like, I want to hear from her is because, one, I like to hear both sides. But, like, she comes in to work, she sits down, does her thing, and probably leaves. She's Ellen. She's had, like, 16 seasons. I don't think, and I don't agree with the fact that she wasn't as involved with her staff, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think she's, like, going around, like, in the editing room and, like, oh, is everything okay? But considering she is a woman in the industry, considering she has been a victim of, like, sexual abuse, and what she stands for, I'm surprised that, like, if it was brought to her attention that she didn't do anything, that's why I'm like, I need to hear the story, because I feel like she would immediately
There's
fire
two sides
them.
to every story. We both know that. So, yeah, I'm excited for her to make her debut again September 21st.
Yeah,
Right?
September 21st.
Yeah.
Monday.
Ellen, we're excited for you, honey.
We're excited to
So-
see. I just want to hear both sides because people were roasting her because it's like more shocking, and then people think she's fake. So
And that's also the thing, though, like, whenever you have someone that big and iconic and is known to be so good,
Yeah.
people just wait for you to fall.
oh yeah,
So,
and that's terrifying.
and also she's been on top for literally over a decade.
Oh my god.
So it's going to be interesting to see how things, play out. Did she ever get canceled? Like, did people try to cancel Ellen on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
okay,
of
I
this?
missed that. Yeah.
They just like brought up little clips and try to make it look really bad.
That's right. Okay, I have seen some clips.
Yeah. But also people think she's in the Illuminati, so it's like you don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What are y'all's opinions on it
Yeah,
all? Honestly,
I'm curious.
I feel like my opinion's not really valid until I hear from what she has to say.
Yeah.
Because this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I know
Yeah.
a lot of people were expecting her to not come back, but also
Yeah.
like I 100% expected her to come back because
For
she's
sure.
not gonna go down like this.
No.
After having this long of a run, heck no.
It sucks.
So-
It sucks. It's just interesting that like one thing can ruin everything you do. Like if this is true,
episode,
that's different.
the first episode, her coming back on September 21st, it's gonna be huge because it can go either of two ways: awful or okay, she learned from it. Like, how genuine is she gonna sound in her approach?
Did
like,
she
did she
know?
even write?
Did she
know?
know?
Write what she wrote? Like,
Oh, she
you know
has
what
to.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Everybody's gonna be watching her.
I mean, I would like to think that she didn't know. I would hope to think
I
that she
would
didn't
hope.
know.
That's like
But it was like who was
sucks.
the top 3 executors?
It was like her head exec producers. Like one of them was the exec. They named them. I just don't think they named their they were just their top 3 executives. They were fired from the show.
That's so rough. Well, only time will tell. We'll see. That's a couple weeks away. So,
Yeah. And if
we'll be
anything,
watching.
it brings up good awareness for sexual abuse in like the workplace.
Yeah, because I just feel like we're learning. We learn stories about that.
Yeah.
Like almost every single day.
Yeah.
And it's just
sad.
yeah. Anywho,
But out of the 5 main TV hosts, one's a woman. Like she, out of all people, should be like So I don't know.
I think she's gonna go in. I think
No,
she's
for
gonna
sure.
she's gonna go
I
hard.
mean, she immediately fired them.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's right there. It says a big statement. Also, you don't really have a choice.
No, true.
But
She doesn't have a
like,
choice.
you don't have a choice in that matter.
And I don't think she would have wanted to keep them after knowing
Not
that
at
because,
all. Not at all.
again, exactly, especially what happened to her.
Jesus. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what
Also, this happened a couple minutes ago. I know you don't care, but for me and my fellow Kardashian watchers, the Kardashians announced that their last season will be airing and they won't come back.
Honestly, it's about time. No, I'm just
It was
saying,
such a
like,
big
how
part of
many
my childhood.
seasons? I have no bad blood with the Kardashians. Like,
Oh.
I honestly don't really care,
I love them.
period. But I will say, like, to be followed around for
But they're
that long.
iconic.
Yeah.
In culture, like honestly, obviously people hate and I get it, but at the same time it's like they built something from literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like why are they special? But like they made it special, and I don't know. I think
They are
But-
they're smart women.
Very
Kris
smart.
Jenner, that
Genius.
woman,
don't get me started on because she's a genius.
she has made millions off that brain of hers with all the stunts that she's pulled with PR with all of her daughters.
Oh,
I'm like, wow, well played.
very well played.
It was Kylie, right? They like hid the pregnancy or something like that.
Oh,
like,
every one of her kids has something. She's
okay, actually, question.
You know she gets 10%.
Kind of off topic.
Okay.
Not. Could you hide a pregnancy? Like, how is that even done?
Iggy, I'm pretty sure didn't tell any. Iggy Azalea, the rapper, pretty sure she didn't tell anybody until she had
I
the
just
kid.
find that so hard to like.
Just don't go out in public.
Yeah.
And trust the people you tell
Yeah.
that you're pregnant.
That's so crazy to me because, I mean, actually, I'm not going to smile about this, but okay. Could you imagine, I feel like the easiest time of your life to hide to be pregnant is literally right now.
Oh, right now.
Like, let's say
Especially if
you
you're
find out
famous.
you're pregnant in January. You don't really start showing until what? Like,
4 months.
depending on your body,
on the
honestly.
body.
But let's
Depends
say,
on the body.
4 or 5 months, you get a little bump.
Yeah.
You could easily hide a pregnancy during
Oh,
quarantine.
for sure. Well, let me just give a shout out to my aunt. We've she's open about it. Well, she's old now. Well, she's older now, but she had a kid when she was 16 or 17. She was in school on the soccer team. My mom didn't know until like almost 6 months. Like she
wow.
hid it that well. And she did a whole miracle. Like
Did she know, like, that
Oh, she
entire
knew.
time? Oh, okay.
But she didn't tell anybody because she was scared, obviously. But like
Yeah.
she did the practices. She was hurting. Like So no one really know. You never really know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've also been. It's my mom. I've also been in situations where there was a lady who looked pregnant, and a stupid girl in my class said, "Oh, when do you do?" She said, "I'm not pregnant."
Let's just put this right here. You should never ask a woman if she's pregnant or when she's due, because
Never.
honestly, there's a 50-50 chance that she's not pregnant. So just
50-50.
don't ask the question.
50-50.
If someone doesn't want to talk to you about their pregnancy, then don't ask questions.
Also, like, you kind of know, like, when the way they hold sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
don't ask that lady.
And also, I feel like people who are pregnant tend to kind of slide that in. Like,
Oh.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah. I'm, like, craving. Like,
Can I get in front of you in the line? Like, I'm pregnant. My feet hurt.
You know, I used to act like I was pregnant in Target. I don't want to talk about it.
Every day I learn something new about you.
Yeah,
What
I
do
would
you
go around like
mean?
this. Oh, I just...
Why?
I don't know. I was so weird. I don't know why I did that.
Lisa, you're going to be a wonderful mother. You know that?
Am I?
Oh my gosh, I miss Luke.
I miss it too.
I just look at the way you treat your younger brother. Luke is 5 years old. He's amazing. He's so cute. Yeah, he started his first in-person class today.
Yes.
He's been on Zoom for what, the last week or two?
No, the last, like, week or two. But
Yeah?
it's been stressful
How
for my
excited
parents.
was he?
So excited. He wants to take the bus home. He's like, I'm a bus rider. I'm not. Your papa
that's
is
a
not
big
picking
boy
me up.
status. Okay.
He's so freaking cute. I don't know. I'm excited to have kids, but it's like,
How many do you want?
not that many. Seeing how it's hard to raise Luke, it's like, oof.
Also, like, the less you have, the more money you have in the bank.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah.
I
no, for
used to
sure.
want 12. If you listen to the last podcast, you know that.
How many kids do you want?
I kind of waver between, like, I used to want, like, it went from, like, 12 to, like, 3.
Yeah.
Then to, like, 5, because, like, guys, I'm Catholic. So, like,
Yeah.
if you know the Catholic culture, they usually have, like, a lot of kids.
Yeah. Or the Hispanic culture. They're always popping kids.
But so I'm a family. I have 2 older siblings. So like I'm the youngest of 3, and I think
Yeah.
that's such a good number. But
Me
I
too.
think at least 2.
Yeah.
I think at least 2 because, and honestly, like I've even thought about like an only child, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think maybe at least 2. I think at least 2.
Yeah.
At
I
least
want
2.
to, like, have one and adopt one because I feel like
I have always wanted to adopt.
I've always wanted to.
I don't know. I just think, like,
There-
if I have that capability, if I'm in that position, then like why not?
Yeah.
Have like at
There's-
least one of my own and then adopt. I don't know. The world is my oyster.
always
Only
wanted to
future will
adopt.
tell. But I don't know. I think being able to adopt is such a beautiful thing.
It is.
You
And
know?
there's so many kids that need to be adopted.
What age?
I would adopt.
It's a tough
Um,
question because I know a lot of people don't typically want to adopt
Get
older just
older.
because it is harder, you
Yeah.
know, because they've just been through so much
Yeah.
and I mean they're older.
Yeah.
But I think
I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to older. I wouldn't try to just get like a, newborn. I don't know. It's kind of like the feeling I feel.
I think I would just kind of have to feel it out.
Yeah.
Also, like, at what stage of life am I in, and like also, how
True.
old is my own child at that time? Because I do think I want to have my own child first, and then adopt. But also, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll
Also,
see.
what if our mindset changed even more? Like, who knows? I mean,
I used to want to like have my own foster home, like run my
Oh.
own foster home.
Aw.
But knowing how I am with like pets, I'm like, how am I gonna be able to let a child go? Like I'm gonna want to adopt all of them.
It's
like I said, I
hard.
used to want to adopt like 12 kids.
it's hard.
So
And you become connected to that kid.
exactly
Like, this is a story that I can get into another time, but my family and I we adopted a child when I was in like 7th grade. And then like 2 weeks later, the mom wanted her back, and that was like traumatizing to me after 2 weeks. Like, and like it was just I was like crying every single day. So you do get connected, although it's not real blood. It's like you see them as your family.
Yeah,
like
you still love
they're
them,
coming
like
to your
they're
family. So
own. Yeah.
it's definitely.
Gosh. Well, like I said, you're gonna make a great
Yeah.
mother.
Thanks. So are you. You're gonna make a great.
Not
mother.
gonna be for like another 10 years.
Oh,
I got
no.
a lot of travel in the world to do. Got a
I'll
lot
just-
to see.
So when do you want like kids? Like 10 years? Or what are you? You're 22.
I'm 22, going on 39. I would say I think a good age is like 29, 30. I also just think it depends on like how many kids I want, because like I said, that could change. I want at least 2, maybe 3,
Yeah.
maybe 9. I don't know. Like I said, I could feel I could feel an entirely different way tomorrow morning. So I would say
And
at
you
this
have the
moment,
right-
at least 2. And I think 28 is a good age. Get married around like 25, 26. Just because like I do want a few years of marriage and just like one-on-one with my hubby.
Yeah.
So we can like travel and just like
Yeah.
live out the rest of our 20s having fun. Because I think if there is one thing that I've heard so much from like other people, like older women that like I used to work with, it's just like travel as much as you can.
Yep.
Because I don't think they regret having, like, they don't regret their children at all. But I do think, like,
It's a huge
it's definitely
change,
a lot harder to travel with kids.
for sure. And you can't just
Yeah.
pick up and go. You have to like their schedule.
You have to think it's not just your future, it's theirs.
and money involved. Like,
Exactly. Especially the money part. Because you're not just feeding one mouth,
No,
your
yeah.
own. You're feeding however many kids
Yeah.
you have. And, you know.
And that's a huge
so,
responsibility. You're also raising a human
not
being.
knocking anybody who has children at a young age.
No.
Everybody's priorities and what they want to do in life is different.
Yeah,
Me,
no.
it's always been like travel.
Yeah.
So, and don't worry, we're gonna have an entire podcast coming soon about traveling and how to get the best deals because
Yes.
I got a lot to say.
I don't know how she does it. Literally, when we go on trips, I'm like, Grace Ann, I trust you. Do your thing. If you need my help, I'm here. But like, I'm going wherever you
We
tell
went
me.
to before COVID hit. Literally, we got back like 3 days before.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like Texas, like it was actually like a big thing,
Yeah.
and like Texas, like when did Texas shut down? It was pretty close to after we
Yeah.
got back. Yeah.
Like maybe the next week. Honestly.
Put it this way, like we literally just kind of like we were on the way back. Okay. Let me back up. We went to Tennessee. We road trip to Tennessee. It was like a 30-hour round trip, and in my car, and it was a car full of gals.
She drove the whole time, by the way.
I'm a crackhead.
I was in the front seat with her. I was like, Grace Ann, I can take
I have
the
trust
wheel.
issues, guys. I'm sorry. We'll
Yeah,
talk
but you
about it
did
another
great, though.
time.
Like, I don't know how the heck you did
You live
that.
and you learn. So in order to convince like everyone else's like parents, like, hey, like I know what I'm doing. Like y'all can trust me. I created a PowerPoint.
Mom,
And I sent the PowerPoint to all the parents so they could like, and I'm talking like, it was details down to a T, like what Airbnb we were staying at, like breaking down the budget because I love to travel, but I like to think that like I know how to travel without spending like a ton of
100%.
money. Yeah. So, I mean,
100%.
that's for another podcast.
We will definitely
but
get into that.
Anyways, back
Well-
to the main topic. We're going to be great mothers and
Yes.
whatever stage of life that you want to have kids, you do you. It's your life, whatever makes you happy moving forward.
Yes. And moms are one of the most powerful things in this world.
Oh my God. Every mom,
So,
shout out to you.
yeah. And the dads out there.
Yeah, exactly. Single moms, single dads, like
Ugh.
mom and dads, y'all are all superheroes.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing people, and you're raising the future.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Well, speaking of like COVID, because COVID hit right after we got back and then everything. I mean, starting from January of 2020, Kobe Bryant and his daughter, like starting from January, just things
2020 immediately got off to the wrong foot.
for so many reasons.
It's like we immediately got up in the morning on the wrong side of the bed, and
Yeah.
it's like consistently every single morning we're getting up on the wrong
and
side
like
of
the
the
whole
bed.
world did it, like with
Yeah.
us. Like it wasn't just like
And
Texas.
literally after Kobe died, I think everybody was like, "Oh, 2020, it's the worst year."
Oh.
Literally could not get worse.
It got worse.
It got worse. It got a lot worse.
It got historic though, like like.
And I think that's so monumental to even think about because like this
Yeah.
is literally going to be in history books.
Oh, yeah.
Like kids 10 years down the road are going to be reading about this in like middle
About-
school, and
about
it's just like it's
everything.
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, like
To say that we're finishing out our senior year of college during a pandemic at Zoom University.
crazy.
I told Issa I tend to not think about how much money I'm dropping. And honestly, I'm not learning that much. I'm not. And
in school,
It's honestly really annoying
no, it's
because I
it's
just feel
hard.
like everything I'm learning, it's via Google.
Yeah.
And
It's hard.
It
It's
is
hard.
hard. And I understand, like, I'm not trying to blame professors. Like,
No.
yeah, at this point, I feel like I'm just dropping like $5,000 on tuition.
Yeah.
I'm just buying the piece of paper, buying
Yeah.
the diploma. But that's just, I have like my ups and downs with it all. Like, obviously, I know a lot of people decided to take the semester off until, things got kind of somewhat back to quote unquote normal, whenever that's going to be, hopefully soon, knock on wood. But there's a lot of people who can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
People are on scholarships, whatever
Yeah.
degree they're trying to do. Like people who want to be in the medical field can't afford to take a semester off.
No.
So-
Also, it's hard for people to go back after they drop
Exactly.
out. It's hard. But it's definitely taken like a mental toll on so many people.
Yeah.
People when we were on lockdown, like I can't imagine people who have bad mental health issues just staying who need the outside to be okay and to keep going. Like they need contact from other people and work and school, and like it just all completely stopped, like out of nowhere. So mental health is also really important to both of us. We're like huge advocates for it. I feel like we both have been through situations where we've dealt with mental health, so we just thought it was important kind of to talk about
Yeah. September is National Suicide Awareness Month.
it.
Definitely a very, very heavy topic.
Very heavy.
I know people who have committed suicide. I know some people who have committed suicide.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's a very touchy topic to talk about because not a lot of people get uncomfortable talking about the idea of someone taking their own life. But I definitely think it is important to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very real thing. And I do think as the years have gone by, I do think a lot of people, let's say like 6-7 years ago, maybe even a handful of years ago, the idea of like depression or anxiety or someone trying to commit suicide was honestly, I feel like, viewed as a joke. Like people didn't take it seriously. People, and to this day, it bothers me so much that people will kid about wanting to kill themselves. And
it's hard.
Read a statistic though that like people who tend to joke like that's one of the signs that they are thinking about doing it. They're joking about it. And hard. I think I have, some people in my life who like to do that, and it bothers me to no end, and I'm like, stop. Like stop doing that, because it's kind of like, the boy who cries wolf. Like at what point
it's hard.
Do you you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you want to intervene. I've had my people I was very, very close to go deal with being suicidal, and I've also had people that it's kind of, you don't want to ever say it's for attention. I don't like to say that because like you said, usually people who just joke about that, it's like kind of a cry for help. That's why I think talking about mental health, like being honest about what you feel is important, because if I were to come to you right now and tell you, like, you would take it seriously because like I'm communicating to you. But if I if I'm in my room all day and I'm showing signs, quote unquote signs of maybe being suicidal, it's like it's just hard to start that conversation. And
I think it's another way of just saying like it needs to be normalized. Like talking about mental health needs to be normalized.
For sure, 100%.
And going to therapy isn't anything to be ashamed of. If anything, it's like when I find out that other people go to therapy, when I find out a friend of mine goes to therapy, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have that in common. Like, what do you talk about your therapist with? Like, what happens in that room with you too?
Yeah. And to me, it's like, that's brave of you to take that step to let someone in your life. I think it's very brave.
It took me a hot minute. I went to some counseling / therapy sessions my freshman year of high school. And a big reason why I started going again was after my car accident. That happened in September of 2018, a couple years ago, or October. I think the 2-year mark is coming up. And so I had to, and it was something that I put off for a long time. Just because my mindset was in general, I don't like to show or I feel like I'm a burden to people when I talk about my issues, and that's not the case. And if your friends are making you feel like you're a burden, then those aren't real friends whatsoever. But I do want to say that I think it is very important. Your friends are not your therapist.
True.
They are not supposed to act like a therapist.
They don't know how to be a therapist.
Being a therapist isn't simple, guys. They go to years and years and years of school. And so I just want to do a quick note, don't rely on your friends to be that for you. I think definitely communicate with them and definitely talk to them, but if you are someone that your friend is going through something right now, and you can just tell that they need to talk to someone and you can't provide what they need, try to, help with giving them resources that they could reach out to.
Yeah.
There's so many hotlines and groups and just, I think that's something really important to say. Like, your friends are not your therapist. They should be there for you.
Yeah.
But they're not your therapist.
No.
And I know some people listening might not agree.
There's a fine line.
There's a fine line, yeah.
Like,
I'm not saying don't talk to your friends and discuss your issues.
Definitely
but
communicate, but also communicate with, if it's at a serious point, communicate with the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that can only help. At least in the experience that I've heard, I've done like online therapy one time when I was dealing with like really, really bad anxiety. And even messaging an actual therapist, like, on my phone.
And that's the thing, like, because I know some people have anxiety just like being on FaceTime with a therapist, which is a thing. I use something called Doctor on Demand. It's fabulous. Sam Houston, actually, the university we go to, they offer free counseling services. I believe they're doing like group therapy now, group sessions, because this is an awful thing, but also, like, I'm happy so many people are getting help. There's so many kids going to get counseling that there's not enough counselors to help everybody. Also, so they've started forming groups.
Also, financial aid for therapy, honestly. Like, a lot of them want to help, and so if you can't find it, because it is expensive. Some places can be expensive. But I
am very blessed to, like, be on my mom and dad's insurance, and my dad has such great insurance. I can say, like, it doesn't cost a lot, but I know for some people that's not the case, and I know that is such a big reason why they don't go.
Yeah.
But
well, also something that kind of helped me when I was dealing with my anxiety was some professionals post YouTube, like, classes, YouTube videos.
There's so many free resources out there as well.
They're all free.
What are some ways that, like, you handled your anxiety?
I talked to someone on through my phone. I was hiding a lot of it from my parents a lot of the time. I was only telling it to one specific person, which that's not good. Like, you cannot.
Why were you doing that?
Because I felt like embarrassed, definitely, that I had anxiety. Like, I was always this, like, strong person that was never afraid of anything. Like, growing up, I would always do, like, the risky stuff. And then I think when I got older and realized, like, death was a thing, that started to, like, freak me out. And I started worrying about my parents. I started worrying about people I was dating, like, all this stuff. So I don't know, I just kind of took it out on one person, and that's not okay. Because I wasn't mentally strong enough to be like, no, I have a serious issue, I can't have this anxiety. Talk to someone. I did a lot of YouTube videos. I exercised. I started, like, honestly, like, dancing with, like, my family. Just, like, stuff like that. And now I don't know the last time I had a panic attack, honestly, like, which is insane. Because I was living with you last year when it was bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you for the longest time. Remember? And it was bad. But now it does get better.
Yeah.
And I had a very, very small case, and I know it's really hard for a lot of people, but it does get a lot better. You just have to research.
And I will say that's kind of like another thing with the way there's, like, this trend. People try to make mental health trendy. Stop doing that. Seriously, stop doing that, because it's not trendy at all.
No.
And it's not something to laugh about.
And it's not something to make fun of people either.
You should not be self-diagnosing yourself.
Yeah.
Anxiety is not, like, everybody can have a panic attack.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean you have anxiety.
No.
I read a statistic somewhere saying, like, pretty much you will have maybe one panic attack in your lifetime. Like, a lot of people will have them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you have anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that does bother me, because for the people who have been diagnosed by a professional, that just makes them feel like shit. Honestly, like, I'll be the person to say it. Like, that's honestly a big reason why I don't get on TikTok as much.
Really?
Because I found that I was on this side of TikTok that was just so toxic and made a joke about literally everything.
Also, eating disorders, I feel like on TikTok was
like, hi, I'm drinking one coffee, that's my meal. No.
Because a girl who's young or a boy who's
they're
young,
gonna think that's
the way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think our generation has like done a really good job of changing the idea of like the perfect body and the perfect this, but obviously people still deal with it every single day. So seeing that does not help.
There's some beautiful and amazing sides of social media. Like obviously, like I love social media. That's literally how I make my money is working with a consulting company.
Yeah.
But the irony that
there's some bad sides.
And it is ironic that I can say social media gives me anxiety, yet that's literally my job.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff is fake.
I mean, we were talking about Emma Chamberlain earlier.
Yeah.
That is someone that I didn't really know who that was, but Issa put me on her, and I'm like, why is this 19-year-old literally me?
She's amazing.
I'm like, Emma, can we be friends? Because we are literally the same person. Yeah. Literally.
And you could tell
to the cats, to the thrifting, to the coffee, how we talk.
She's amazing.
The demeanor. I'm just like, wow, okay.
Yeah. And that you could tell her is genuine. She's not trying to be cute.
Yeah. And I think that's someone I think a big reason why I've enjoyed like binging her series so much and literally like every single video is because she is so real and she's not afraid to talk about her mental health. And I'm like, this is the type of stuff that kids need to be seeing, especially because the mental health numbers are skyrocketing.
So many people have
it needs to be normalized, and I'm so happy that she is talking about it. But yeah, I definitely think the first step is you got to tell somebody.
Yeah.
And if you you get help. Get help. Like, don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep it to yourself. Yeah.
Because I think, again, our generation has changed so much. Mental health is one of them. Like, I've talked to a lot of people, and later I'm going to tell you about some podcasts I heard that are good for listening to if you have mental health issues. But especially for like the Black community, I was talking to one of my friends a couple weeks ago at a wedding, and every culture is different. Everybody goes through mental health, but like even with the Black community, they were not told about mental health. It was very like kind of deal with it and move on type of thing. And also when they would talk about mental health, they were like just seen very like weak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's just so much, like when she was talking to me, I was like so intrigued by like how everybody is treated differently with mental health, like how when they're raised, how they're talked about it, like if it's talked about in the home, if it's like you're weak, if you have a disorder. But it's like we're the people to change. Like it's not weak, it's something that happens in your brain. It's something that society can create. Like it's a lot of things, and you shouldn't be embarrassed about it because.
But I mean, I relate so much to like what you were saying earlier about not telling your parents. I hid my depression from my parents for months.
Really?
Months.
Was this high school or college?
College. It was after the car wreck, and honestly, it was like well over a year later.
Yeah.
I had sat them down, and I was like, hey, like I need to talk to y'all about something. And a big reason why I hadn't was, one, I didn't want them to be worried.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we do know people that have passed away because of suicide. And my dad, whenever I had told him, he started crying because he didn't want to lose his daughter. And I said, Dad, I was being honest. I was like, I have never thought about taking my own life, but I promise if it ever got to that point, I would tell you guys.
You would communicate
I would communicate it with you. Yeah. And I don't want to get emotional. I knew this was going to happen.
Why did you wait? Like, explain why you waited.
I just didn't want them to worry.
Yeah.
I'm so freaking independent. Sometimes it can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really stubborn.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point with me, I was like, Grayson, you shouldn't be feeling like this. Like I was going to therapy, but I was still sweeping it under the rug, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I also think this is something I want to talk about as well. For a hot minute, I wouldn't even tell my therapist everything. Yeah. I'd be like, I feel like it's like that was a toxic trait of mine. Yeah. Like, I'm going to therapy to get my shit figured out, but I'm not going to tell her all my shit.
Do you think that's because you didn't want to hear her answer, or like you were just scared?
So. I think it was a little bit of both. I didn't want to confront the issue, and also, like I said, I'm so hard-headed. And so in my mind, I was just like, it's fine. Like, I can handle it. And eventually, I had such a good therapist that she saw right through my bullshit and was like, tell me what you're not telling me.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was like, you're literally paying for this. Like, why? She's like,
Use
my
her.
job is not to judge you. It's to
Yeah.
help you.
And
And
that's-
that
yeah.
right there, I was just like, oh shit, you're right.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
don't be like. Of course, you're gonna think your situation might be embarrassing or whatever. But it's like, first of all, there are millions of people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Someone, I promise you, is probably going through something
Yeah.
a little crazy.
And there was so much that had happened in a short amount of time. It was like my car wreck, and that's a big reason why I have such PTSD
Yeah.
still to this day, and I'm working on it. I've gotten better with it.
Yeah.
When I'm in the passenger seat with somebody, like I have to be in control of my car. That's why I'm
Yeah.
always driving. But another thing that happened was not the place that we're living at now, but my previous home. I went through an experience where I heard a knock on the door at like 8 a.m. and I went to go check it and nobody was there. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And for kind of like some context, I lived in a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house all by myself in a neighborhood that other college students lived in. And that's because I had roommates the previous semester before, but there was a ton of mold in my room and it just wasn't healthy for me to be living in that room or / house anymore.
Yeah.
So I moved out and went down the street to, in the same neighborhood, a different house. And that's why I lived all by myself in a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house. And so looking back, I was never really afraid up until that moment to live by myself. But anyways, I'm looking through the peephole and nobody's there. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then I hear a rustling from one of the bedrooms. And all the bedrooms had been like kept unlocked. But I was just like, who's here? And then all of a sudden, this like over 6-foot maintenance man comes out of my of one of the empty bedrooms, scares the living shit out of me. And I was just like, he looked startled that I was even awake. And he was like,
mind blowing.
I was just like, oh my God. And he was like, oh. And I was like, what are you doing here?
I would have got my knife and be like,
And he was just like, I'm here to paint this room. I just didn't want to wake you up. And
so he knew you were in there sleeping.
Yes.
Okay, either way, you
Yes.
don't break into someone's window.
He had went through the window.
Oh
And also the thing is, I remember talking to a couple people about it a little later on, and they brought it to my attention, like, why was he so dead set on you staying awake? Like, he wants you to be sleeping and then you wake up and he's in your house. Like, what? And so
No.
also the part that really
That was
creeped
sketchy.
me out was because I knew for a fact, like I said, all the doors have been kept open and with each bedroom. And I would make it kind of like a habit to always check to make sure like the windows were like locked. And so I know he had been in the house like the previous like week because he had been like painting the rooms and like making them nicer looking or whatever. But I'm like, I know these windows were locked, so I'm thinking,
Oh my
did
God.
he
I don't understand.
like, did he leave the house, like, and
Left it unlocked?
left it unlocked knowing he was going to come in? Like, so that right there, I was already suffering from PTSD with my car accident that had happened a few months prior. And then all of a sudden, that triggered
It was a lot at one
crazy
time.
amount of anxiety,
Sure.
which I would end up finding out later on from my therapist because I was medically diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I was also diagnosed with depression, and I was diagnosed with like social anxiety, which, if you know me, does not make any sense because I'm like a huge like social butterfly.
That was
it got to
shocking
the
to me.
point where I'm also a sports photographer for Sam Houston when sports were being played. Sad. And it got to the point where it was like I wouldn't even want to go to like a baseball game to take pictures because I didn't want to be around a crowd of people.
Yeah.
Like I was so
It really
scared.
affects you.
Yeah. And I remember like always like shoving it to the side because I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. But just thinking about like what could have happened, like why did he do that? He ended up being fired.
Good.
Honestly, the place that I live was super shady. Like I said, don't live there anymore.
No.
But yeah, those were kind of like my like big
Things that happen.
things that happened to me that really like just triggered.
The anxiety side.
Yeah.
Because that's something I don't think a lot of people know. There's so many different aspects of mental health. There's so many disorders that people go through their life and they're like, what is wrong with me?
I think it's important to say that like not everybody goes through the same thing. Like there are so many different so many diagnoses.
Yeah.
Like there's so many types of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so like, just because you think that anxiety looks one way, it's different in everybody.
Yeah.
And so,
Everybody.
Yeah.
So, I just think, like, getting the help, being diagnosed helps a lot of people, because it's like, okay, I'm not this, I'm just this. Like, I'm just...
And it's like when I told my parents, it was like this huge weight had, like, lifted off of my shoulders, because I just kept thinking about, like, why am I, like, hiding this? And I think also it's just, like, not really knowing, because, like, a lot of parents don't believe in it.
No.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like, you're just being dramatic.
Yeah.
And so I know my parents love me unconditionally, but it was just kind of like that fear of, like,
well, you never know how they're
like,
gonna
how are they
really
going to react? And so, you know, I was super relieved and so happy when I did tell them, and they just gave me a big hug.
That's awesome.
And they just wanted to, like, me to know that, like, they're always going to be there for me. And
That's awesome.
you know, my mom was like, you gotta tell us stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta stop being so hard-headed. And I do get that from my father. Shout out to Lee.
Shout out to
I
him.
am so freaking hard-headed.
Also, parents, please take after her parents, because
Yeah.
if they wouldn't
could
have
have
been,
went
it could have
a
gone
very
so
different
bad.
way.
And then you would have
Yeah.
never told them something
And
again.
it sucks, because I do have friends in my life that their parents
Yeah.
don't take it seriously, and that affects them even more. And then it, like, they feel so isolated, and it's like their parents don't want to pay for them to get help, and then it's
Yeah.
just like,
It's hard.
it's really hard.
If your kid is
It's
coming
just this
to you for
constant
that, it's like
it's
a
just
lot.
this constant circle of like feeling isolated and alone, and
There's
Yeah.
also substance abuse is, in my opinion, also a mental health disorder. I know a lot of people think that people choose to do that. I don't, because just from people I know and people I've watched, like, on podcasts and stuff, it's like, it's a serious disorder, that also substance abuse disorder. And so, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are so quick to judge and hate and choose, like, oh, that person's a druggie because they chose, you know what I'm saying? But it's like
Yeah.
a serious addiction is, like, things that run in people's family. Like, it's not just, you know. I just think, obviously, it's easier for us to say because we're kind of growing positively on the mental health path. But it does get better. And what would you give advice, like, to someone who maybe is struggling to tell anybody? Because some people don't even tell anybody. Some people don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever to even mention, or a best friend. Like, there are a lot of lonely people.
I think the internet can be your best friend.
Yeah.
There's a lot of groups out there that you can even speak anonymously.
Yep.
I just think telling one person could change a lot for you.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky to have, you know, when I told friends that, and they understood.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who struggles to have friendships,
Yeah.
or doesn't have, you know, just you feel like you can't trust anybody with this information, you know, turn to online. We'll link to some sources down below, and I think the number one thing I could tell you is that you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. I know you feel alone, and I know you feel super isolated, but just know that you're not alone, and that I know how redundant this can sound,
Yeah.
but, like, your life truly matters, and you may think that there's nobody out there that cares for you, but I promise there is.
And if you don't feel like there is right now, you have such a long life. And I know this is cliche too, but it gets so much better. Like, just becoming your own person, going through life, whatever age you are, it just will get better.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, keep pushing. And I know it's hard, and there's sometimes,
I still struggle with it sometimes.
yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like I still struggle with my anxiety, but it's constantly, life is a journey, life is a battle, and, you know, I think the number one thing you can do is just try to love yourself as much as possible, and just realize, like, you're not alone in the battle, and people love you.
And we were blessed to get this life. Like, I know it sucks sometimes, and, like, life is really hard sometimes, but we're very blessed to have this life. Another thing that helped me was finding, like, the positives in my life and the people around me and things that I have that a lot of people don't have, which honestly could just be a friend or
The
family.
environment you surround yourself in is so important. I think one of the things that helped me so much was having a clean room and making sure that, like, my closet was tidy, and I could always tell, like, my anxiety was, like, getting really bad when I could hardly see the floor in my room. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
me
gotta,
too.
and even just, like, putting on a nice little outfit like that, something simple as that. I know it could seem really, really hard, and trust me, I get it, but that can honestly help a lot. And don't feel like you have to do a ton, you know, like just take it one step at a time, and just, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
And keep fighting.
Yeah.
'Cause you're
guys,
doing great.
There's so much that we could talk about, and we will.
Yeah.
We will. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We love each and every one of you, and we appreciate all of your support. We're just scraping the surface with all of this. So,
and if you ever need, if you're listening and you have no one, you can message us. We've both, I think, dealt with our friends who have dealt with mental health, so you could always message us, and we could like try to put you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna link also 10 podcasts that are really good for mental health situations. So, yay. But we love you.
We love y'all so much, and stay
radiant.
Bye, guys.
Bye.